selling to more than one person? So we all know this feeling, selling more to one person. It's a little bit tricky, right? But I wanted to take a couple minutes to address it because I thought maybe I can share a couple ideas that will be helpful. So typically, one of those people is the decision maker. And let's say decision maker means maybe like 90% their decision, 10% other person's decision. Sometimes in the very beginning, it can be a little bit hard to tell because sometimes the person who the product or service is for is the decision maker, and sometimes the person who the product or service is for, they're looking for, is not the decision maker. And sometimes it's tough to know how to balance all that. So I guess some of the thoughts that I have, one is understanding that there's probably one person that is like 90% important and the other person 10%, but they're both important because probably you sort of need both of them. If you watch carefully, you could probably figure out fairly quickly which person this is for. To me, what helps is just asking the questions that you need to ask, you know? So one of the questions is probably, who is this for? And then I think you also just want to have a sense of like, well, what is it that needs to happen for this person and what is it that needs to happen for this person for the two of them combined to buy it. And sometimes this can just take asking questions and figuring things out. But let's say the product or service is for this person. Let's say it's a young person. Let's say it's a daughter. And let's say the daughter is buying a car. And then let's say there's the dad. Right? So in this situation, the dad is probably the decision maker in the sense that he probably has the money, but you don't really know for sure the distribution of like how much weight is put on each. Like how much is it just, the dad's gonna be like, no honey, like you're getting this piece of crap car because it's cheap and it's gonna be my way and that's how it is. And how much is like, well, you know, she's just gonna get whatever she wants and I don't care the price, you know, whatever she wants, I'm gonna buy for her, right? So no matter what it is, whether it's a husband and wife, or it's a father and child, or mother and child, or whatever it is, or even friends or boyfriend and girlfriend, there can be a lot of different dynamics here, but you're sort of just wanting to have your analytical precision thinking and get at whatever you need to get at. So let's say that they're out shopping together. I would probably, I mean, there's not necessarily a perfect order of operations to ask these questions, but just off the top of my head, things that I would want to know is like, okay, well, what does this daughter want? Like, what are the things that if we found those, that would be right for her? And then what does the dad want? That if we found those things, would be right for him? And I'd probably want to know, well, you know, how much say does the daughter have? Like, do you want the daughter to just have whatever she wants? Does she have whatever she wants within a certain price point? You know, and then, because the dad, let's say if he's the one buying it, let's say he's the decision maker, so we sort of need to know, like, what are the rules, right? Like, can she have anything? Can she have anything under 30 grand? Can she have anything as long as it's an SUV under 30 grand that takes regular gas? You know, like, what are the things? Because if we don't meet his criteria, nothing is going to happen because he's buying. But we have to meet the daughter's criteria too, and we have to kind of merge them. But sometimes the dad might say, like I said, he might be like, my daughter can have literally whatever she wants. This is for her 16th birthday. I love her. She's my only child. And, you know, if she wants the $60,000 Lexus IS 350, then that's what I'm going to get for her. So it's like, okay, cool. So that was easy. We know he's good. So now we just have to go find that for her. So I don't think there's one exact way that you could really say always handle selling to more than one person this certain way, because like we said, it's really gonna vary. But I think to give you some general rules, understand that there's usually one person that's a decision maker, at least more so than the other person, but usually you sort of need buy-in from both. Sometimes you'll get buy-in from one and not the other, and sometimes if it's bad enough, they just might not be prospects and a sale might not be possible, because you've got two human beings, and so once in a while you just can't find something that works for both of them, no matter how hard you try. So you have to understand sometimes that will happen. But asking your questions, right? Figuring out each of those person's situation, figuring out their relationship to each other, figuring out, what are the rules or dynamics of how this transaction needs to go, and asking those specifics, what are the parameters that you need to work in to solve this problem for them. And I think if you ask your specifics and you understand the role of each person, you understand what needs to happen for each person, you understand what the parameters are that they want you to look within, you'll be able to narrow things down. And a lot of times you can effectively sell. Now, sometimes maybe it's a husband and a wife, right? And maybe the husband is like, she could have whatever she wants, and maybe she wants the long driveway, and we find something with the long driveway and the husband says cool, and then you're sold, right? You're selling the house. Sometimes the husband will say they can have whatever they want, or maybe it's the wife and husband, maybe it's reversed, and they say they could have whatever they want, but then they're also giving you a really hard time, right? So there's a lot of nuances here. Like sometimes they say that, but maybe they don't really feel that. So it can be tricky. Just understand that you're juggling two people, and both of those people are probably important to some degree. You do have to understand both of them. There are certain needs for both of them you'll have to meet. You'll have to make sure that they're both good with what's happening, or to figure out under what circumstances would they both be good with what's happening. But at least this can give you some rules, understanding that they're both important, understanding that you're gonna have to ask your specific questions to understand what they feel are the things that need to happen, and what that relationship is, and what each person's things are, and what the rules are of how you should go about searching for them. So those are some thoughts on that. A little more advanced, because it's hard enough to sell to one person and then you're selling to two, so you're sort of twice as tricky in a way, because you just entered another variable, and then there's their relationship with each other, and then you don't know if what they're saying is what they really feel. So it's trickier, but and like I said, sometimes not a prospect, sometimes not possible, sometimes they can't agree. That's not always your fault. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. But don't be too intimidated when you're selling to more than one person. You just have to stay really focused and analytical and specific, and really making sure that you understand what it is that's happening there. The better you understand that dynamic of what's happening and what they're both wanting to happen, the better you're going to be able to solve that for them. So those are some thoughts on selling to more than one person.